Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is Scribes and Scrolls, the Candlekeep Mysteries, and this is Chapter 53, Everything is Never as It Seems. And we will get into the recap, and we will get into the game here in just a moment. Before we get started, I just want to remind you, even though it was in our little promo thing, I want to remind you to check out fortnerd.com, because tomorrow night is the final episode of Arc 4 of the Dreadful Tales, and then the finales begin. So you thought when I said the final episode it was the finale, but it's not. Stay tuned to fortnerd.com to see what's going on with that. I mention it because it's an awesome anthology show that Gary's hosted, produced, and sometimes a player in. But also Dwight and I are a part of it as well. I'm DMing the second arc. And it's coming to its incredible conclusion of this arc tomorrow, and it is a thing to behold. You will have to tune in to see what I mean. The only other thing that I want to mention before we get started is just a reminder that you matter. We say it all the time. We say it before every game because it's important to remind you that you matter, that your presence on this earth makes a difference. Whether or not you believe that, it's true. First off, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay for you to feel out of sorts and to have these feelings, but you do not need to struggle alone. There are free resources available to you at findahelpline.com, or you can check out the takethis.org resources page. All you have to do is type !help in the chat like I just did, and those hyperlinks will appear. I encourage you to use those links, bookmark them, save them for yourself, save them for a friend, and remember that you matter. All right, I think it's time to play some Dungeons and Dragons. All right, well, recently, our characters, the book club, you have found yourself, not all together, but eventually you all wound up together back at Candlekeep, where there was some sort of convocation happening. There's an abundance of seekers and sages present. Also in that queue waiting to get into the library was none other than our new Turtle Paladin friend by the name of Togo, who is a longtime acquaintance of Mizya, much to their chagrin. I'm not entirely sure. We're still figuring that out. But they have been reunited. And eventually Tira found her way back to the library through magical means after a brief family reunion of sorts, where she rejected an offer to learn the witching ways of her mother, but not before her mother destroyed her father's heirloom sword, but turned it into a blood forged ice blade, then sent her on the way, where she appeared in Mizya's hip pocket, basically appearing out of the portable Shadowfell gateway that Mizya has created. All of you found out that your rooms at the House of Rest had been given away because of the convocation, but you were assured that you had a nice place to stay in the Firefly Cellar, a sort of extension of the Candlekeep Library where mostly it's filled with special collections and books that are in various states of refurbishing. Once you were down there, you spent the night. The next day you woke up, went to breakfast, and realized everybody here, including yourselves, has this tune, this sing-song tune stuck in your head that you are constantly humming, and nobody seems to know the source, though the elven woman, Varnir, has mentioned that about 600 years ago there was a mysterious singing curse that happened, and it began to spread rapidly. So having this bit of knowledge, Varnir communicated with the Candlekeep staff, and you are all quarantined in the Firefly cellar, and the door has been secured by means as yet unknown. The last thing after breakfast that you witnessed was Crinkle, the Kenku caretaker down here, taking a stack of books up the stairs while whistling this tune. You now find yourselves left to your own devices in what is a 2-floor circular library with tens of thousands of books, and then the lowest level has kitchens and bedrooms and some storerooms, a bindery and things like that. I would like to know from each of you, what are you doing to occupy your time now that you are stuck in this library, quarantined for who knows how long? Anybody?
Tira at least needs some sleep. She's hurt still from she's down some hit points, so she needs rest. And you would almost notice that as excited as she was to see him right when she popped out of Mizya's pocket, she's almost avoiding Vorn. The initial thank God you're here has passed, and now she's kind of avoiding him. So she's gonna go off to a corner and find a place to sleep, and she'd say, I'm not sure how much good I'd be anyway at all the research. And she would go off to a nook somewhere.
Easily done. There are plenty of places for you to find a place to sleep here. Tira has found an overstuffed chair in a little nook and is currently snoozing away. What about the rest of you?
Doc is he is minding his own business, and he's not much for books, but he is going to try and go down in this place as deep as he can. Every time he finds a stairwell, he's going to go deeper until he can't find any place that goes down further. When he gets down as low as he can, and his eyes, he sort of adjusts his goggles and his eyes adjust to the darkness. He's going to look around and see where he is, but it's not really relevant to him. He's going to whisper, as only Doc can, Miriam? Miriam, are you here? Miriam, can you hear me? Hello? And he will wait.
Very well. There is no immediate response. How long will Doc wait? Probably more importantly, how often are you calling out the name?
Every minute or so.
Okay. Togo? Mizya?
Togo wants to be helpful at first. So he goes to read. Maybe he sees kind of the books that Mizya is looking at and tries to copy them. Just like, every so often he'll glance over at what Mizzy is reading, and then try and get a book name with like a similar title or like similar something to try and help figure out this, if that's what Mizzy is doing, or like any book, because he's not really sure. Because
Roll a d8.
as he's going through some of these books to what he thinks is being helpful, it's a 4.
You have one of the books you just grabbed because the binding is very similar to whatever Mizya is looking at. It's called Collecting Recipes of Goblin Shamans in the Western Heartlands by Fifth Belfar, Alchemist.
Perfect. He reads this book for way too long until he realizes that it's not going to help. And you keep seeing him, like, his brow is so furrowed every time he's reading it. He's like, he's scratching his head. You'd think a cookbook would have more pictures, as he's again just like try to hold the book out, but I think he quickly realizes that this is not his strong suit. So he would be, I think, helping I forget his name, in the kitchen, who's making the very tasty food.
That was Ebder.
Ebder. Yeah, he would be in the kitchen with Ebder.
So you've gone down to the lower level eventually with Ebder sort of helping clean up after the morning feast and do dishes and sort of put away all the things. You would therefore hear down on that same level occasionally from down the hall, you would hear Doc calling for someone named Miriam. Which leaves Mizya.
For the most part, at least at first, I am. Anytime I look up and I notice that that Togo's there, I will quietly get up and relocate, and try to find a different spot to sit quietly with my books. But after a while, I start to maybe pick up that Togo is watching what I'm doing, and I'll stay a little bit longer before I move. But after a while, I'm ready to move on to something else, and I will spend some time. I actually go to my room or to our room, and do we have like foot lockers or anything? We're keeping our stuff in there? Or,
yeah. Each of the 5 beds has a little foot locker.
So I'm going to spend some time. I bring out an old set of robe, or one of my sets of robes. This one's kind of a little bit more of a bluish hue than the normal purple that I wear. But I'm going to use my infuse item feature, and I'm going to create a mind sharpener out of a set of robes for use. So I'll spend some time working on that, and then back to slightly avoiding Togo with my books. I think though that, like, after I'm done with the robes, when I notice Togo kind of sidles up nearby, I will kind of tilt the book in that direction to make it a little bit easier to pick up the titles, and stay a little bit longer before I move.
Sweet.
Miriam.
That's the nicest thing Mizzy has ever done for anybody, by the way.
Miriam.
As you are in the kitchen with Ebder, jeez, who puts a B and a D next to each other? My slightly dyslexic mind keeps second guessing this name constantly. Hold on, I just lost my place. Ebder. As you are in the kitchen with Ebder, Togo, he seems to be almost oblivious to the fact that as he's kind of washing dishes, and you've just sort of done that unspoken thing when more than one person are helping out, where he's washing and then kind of handing them to you and you're drying them, that he's sort of taken on this to the tune and splishing and splashing and handing them over. And before long, you've sort of, the two of you have picked up this rhythm with this sing-song tune, and at key moments in the tune, rhythmically, you just hear this Miriam, as Doc's voice seems to float in and just emphasize in the right spots this perfect timing in between what would be the verses of these. Meanwhile, as Vorn has taken to just randomly wandering around the library and stopping to look at some of these statues that are on the second level. At certain locations, there's alcoves with what look like statues of scholars, and he'll walk around, he'll stop, and he'll kind of study one for a little bit, kind of in that way that you're trying to look like you're doing one thing but you're lost in thought, and the whole time Vorn is just very low in his throat, just Mizya, you, as you're sort of reading through whatever book you're reading, you have sort of also maintained this tune, finding a rhythm in the words to match to this, and humming, or almost like tisking, that sort of
I'm guessing that Oscar is probably running around my feet, and is probably whirring his what's the word I'm looking for? His homunculus gears are whirring along with the song as well.
Yeah, there's this sort of rhythmic, kind of like those gears that kind of go and it's just creating this nice little rhythm. And Mizya, actually Tira, as you've been asleep for a couple hours, and you just kind of awaken, that drowsy waking up from a nap, that perfect mid-morning, post-breakfast, pre-lunch nap.
Yep.
And you find that you are looking up at one of the numerous light sources, the lanterns that are illuminating this place all around. And as you look up, you notice that there's this, you can hear this sort of whirring of gears not too far away, this light, and you hear the sound of Mizya. You hear somebody somewhere is just real lightly humming the tune, and you notice above your head, one of these lanterns, that the light within the lantern seems to be moving and sort of dimming and pulsing almost in tune. As you kind of shift your focus and you realize that you're looking at the namesake of this library, the Firefly Cellar. These lanterns are comprised of fireflies inside. You also realize that the person that is humming along with this tune is yourself, though you've never heard this tune before. It's the same tune you heard everybody else sort of humming and singing.
And Tira really focuses on like not singing it, kind of unbeknownst to her, but kind of like Vorn, she doesn't like this involuntary, like the earworm kind of feeling. And so she would kind of get up and like go out and see what everybody else is doing. She would look for the first person that she would see. So let's see. 1 or 2 are Doc. 3 or 4 is Togo. 5 or 6
Doc
is
and Togo
Mizya.
are down in the basement level.
Well, I guess I'm going down to the basement level because I got a 4.
Okay.
It's random. Togo. It is. Tira wants to meet Togo anyway. Didn't really get a chance to before. So she kind of goes down there and is just sort of exploring, not looking at any of the books. She is totally uninterested.
So going down to the basement level, you find yourself following the sort of circular stairs to the bottom where you emerge into a long stone hallway. That before, as the hallway makes a sharp right turn, there's sort of in the angle of that turn, there's just a section that's open, and then a large, like 15-foot square kitchen / pantry that's in there. Togo and Ebder have finished doing the dishes. At the sort of central island-like table, Galeby, the daughter, the 8-year-old daughter, is just sitting there with some parchment paper and some wax crayons and is drawing some pictures. Ebder is busying himself with sort of sorting through some of the preserves and jars and some cheeses and stuff. You do notice that as he sort of he'll put a jar up and just kind of give it an extra clink. So as he's doing this, there's just this sort of
Okay.
So,
Awesome.
but it's not obnoxious. It's just sort of lightly happening as Togo is currently has been helping Ebder out. I imagine probably handing some of these things back up to him. And Togo, you're absent-mindedly kind of tapping these things on the countertop to the same tune, and that's what you walk into, Tira.
So Tira would just sort of absent-mindedly on the way by, because Tira was at breakfast, so she has seen all these people. She would sort of absent-mindedly like ruffle the kid's hair and just be like, "Hey kid," on the way by, and then be like, "Oi, barkeep, do you have any wouldn't happen to be hiding anything behind the preserves, would you? If you get my drift? Anything little stronger than preserve? Do you have any liquor? I am in desperate need. Been thinking about it a lot."
He does not respond to you. As you walk in, he's standing there with his back to you and Togo and Galeby, and he is just holding one of the jars up where he's placed it, and he's going dun, 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 and his singing is getting more and more intense. And you notice, all of you, well, those of you that are in this area, and Doc, at this point, you hear this coming from down the hall. And Togo, you notice that he hasn't moved for at least a good minute. As he's getting more and more shrill.
I look frantically at Togo, and then I look at this little girl. Is she okay?
She is
dad, right?
She is staring wide-eyed, gripping onto one of the crayons, and she just throws down the crayons and pushes away from the table, runs over, Dad, and starts shaking on him.
I would run to her, grab her, and move her around behind me. Like,
what's wrong? What's wrong with my dad?
I'm walking backwards.
Togo wants to go if he can. If Togo's still all fine. Togo wants to go around. Okay, Togo wants to go around and kind of look at Ebder, and see if he can like move his hand. Like he doesn't want to be very forceful, but he wants to try and move it.
As you are As you sort of peer around, you see the Ebder as he's singing this tune shrilly over and over and over again. His eyes are wide and staring straight ahead. And as you reach up to touch his hand, Togo, it's ice cold to the touch.
Ooh.
And his hand doesn't move.
Oi, Turtle, I forgot your name. Is everything okay?
Well, not exactly. Everything is not all right.
No! Honey, you should ask.
My God, no. As he is, oh boy. Togo is just going to he begins to like take out like some of the like a rabbit's foot or something. He holds it in his hand. All right, Tamora, this is now the time for you to help me out here. As he's looking up at
At this point, Tira would be kind of just shouting, sort of ahead and just being like, do you have it under control? Is there anything I could do to help? Or should I be finding another place for the little one? And she's sort of been like inching towards the stairs this whole time.
The stairs are like 60 feet away down a hall.
I've been quickly inching towards the hall.
At the other end of the hall, the other hall where you came from the stairs was sort of heading north. This other hallway is sort of somewhere down there is where Doc has been wandering, calling in for Miriam. Doc, a door opens at the end of the hall, the one next to where you all stayed for the night. And as the door opens, a bright golden light sort of spills out momentarily, and then the door is shut. And you see Crinkle the Kenku come hurriedly out to see what all the commotion is about and kind of looking to move past you. And you hear in one voice, "This is something that concerns me very greatly." And then you hear in another voice, Doc, "Could I trouble you to allow me to pass?"
Doc is going to look down, and he's going to say, "Do you know how I can talk to Miriam?"
You hear in a couple of different voices, "Dragons? At a time like this? Rather inappropriate, don't you think?" As Crinkle is desperately trying to push past you, it's about a 6 foot wide hallway, so unless you're directly blocking them, they're going to try to make their way past you.
Doc is going to allow them to pass, and he is going to say, impolite, even for a Kenku.
Wow.
They do not respond as Crinkle hurries down the hall, and in a rush of feathers and robes, the rest of you see Crinkle comes in and kind of assesses, "Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, my child, and immediately rushes over to where you are with Galeby and starts to kind of wrap a feathered arm around her, and she immediately kind of collapses into Crinkle's arms and is crying, I don't know what happened. He just started singing." And
think about this time is when I kind of wander into the area,
you would hear the sounds sort of drifting up the stairwell.
Yep. And knows in my book, I don't understand it, Gerald. They are making such a racket, and I don't know why. I'm talking to my spell book as I walk down into the area, and I just kind of look up, kind of bemused. Oh, what have I missed?
And Tira is just sort of watching Togo, kind of deciding, making split-second decisions whether she's going to need to like act here.
Can Togo, as he's like holding onto this rabbit's foot and like kind of holding on to Ebder, is gonna try and like kind of pull him. At the same time, he's gonna try and cast Lesser Restoration in case he's paralyzed. See if that has any effect.
Okay. Yeah, so what does that look like when you cast the spell?
He is I imagine all of you would hear the subtle noise of that metal sound of coins falling and clinking together as he's holding on to this rabbit's foot. It almost, you can see the sound kind of grow in the air and see that power almost start at the rabbit's foot and almost kind of go up Togo's arm, around and back down through his hand into Ebder.
And as you do that, Ebder, you feel where you're touching him, the shift in the coldness of his skin. You feel the shift to what was sort of this frozen posture. You just feel the tensing of the muscles, and almost involuntarily, the jar he was holding, he flings backwards. It arcs high enough that it sort of, I imagine it hits the ceiling, and you can smell the sort of vinegary and dill scent of a jar of pickles that just shattered against the wall, and more likely than not has splattered you with pickle juice, Mizya, as you walked into this scene, as it's dripping down onto your spell book and onto your robes. As Ebder suddenly stops singing and he turns to look at you. And you see that he is pale. Seeing him move, Galeby immediately rushes up and throws her arms around his waist. And with a trembling hand, he reaches down and is stroking her hair. And you see that there is, at his temples, his hair has turned shock white. I would like Doc to roll me a d6.
3.
You notice that this entire area, and all of you begin to feel this, that as Ebder is looking at you, Ooh, what happened? You can see his breath. As this entire area has gotten about 20 degrees colder. It's already in a cellar, so it was already nice and cool, but it's even colder. It's cold enough now that you can see your breath in front of you.
I think immediately Togo is going to take either some kind of blanket, towel, I'm not sure, whatever, and just kind of wrap Ebder in it. It's going to be all right. It's fine. You're fine now. You were a little stood in place there for a while.
Just a touch of the comatose,
I couldn't move. All I could hear was a damn song in my head. And I could not move.
Oh.
I don't know what's happening, but we've got to find a way out of here.
Togo nods. Is that did you see anything? You were kind of staring off into the middle distance there, and did you see anything?
I couldn't move my eyes. I could see the jars, but that was it. I couldn't even blink. It was terrifying.
Togo scratches his head, and I think at this time he probably is just noticing that like Mizya and the Kenku have walked in and looks at them.
You know what's good for warming you up, I've heard, is whiskey. You wouldn't happen to have any whiskey around, would you? Just a thought.
I don't.
Hey.
I don't drink. I know it's...
No one else noticed that I am covered in pickle juice.
Well, not with my eyes, but I've noticed it with my nose, Mizya. Welcome to the party. We're having a grand old time.
Fine, I will take care of it myself. I'm going to kind of just shuttle off a few feet away, and I'll use prestidigitation to kind of clean myself and my book. And I'm just going to smolder off in the corner, watching the goings on.
Doc, make me a persuasion check.
I'm going to do it with advantage.
Let's see. What advantage would put us at? Do this.
You can do it. 18.
18. That would be... let's see. I rolled a 17.
Ooh.
You guys dancing around this 15 and 16 domain tomes, making me change the whole thing for one tome.
Sorry. I mean,
Nope.
not really, but
I know you're
I'm a
not.
little sorry.
I know
a
you're
little
not.
sorry. Mild.
There's a limit to how much I can multitask without drawing
know.
attention to it. But no, by all means, you're gonna need that. I mean, you might. Anyway.
Shut up.
God.
Doc, as this commotion is all taking place at the end of the hall, there is a very slight shimmering glow that's different than the light of these firefly lanterns that you notice sort of emanating past you, like something behind you is causing this almost greenish blue glow. As you turn around, you see, just peering up as if an alligator floating just below the surface of the water, you see the nostrils, the eyes, and the horns of Miram, the ghost dragon.
Oh, there you are. Hello, Miram. It's nice to see you again. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. It's very kind of you.
Call it curiosity more than kindness. I could not figure out who was calling my name so incessantly and rhythmically.
Yes, I've learned that curiosity is one very interesting way to get your attention, and in some ways a surefire way, because as you said, you like to stay down below, and by like, I mean you have to stay down below, so you like to learn new things and understand what's happening in Candlekeep as far as you can, and I've summoned you for a very interesting reason. I feel like history might be repeating itself. Or rather, that something weird is happening and you might be interested. Also, last I heard, the Water Davian dragons beat the Baldur's Gate Bazours in curling 15 ends to 12.
I had almost forgotten how incessantly you speak.
Well,
I kind of
I know-
missed it.
oh, well, thank you. I like to get as much information to you as possible because I know how much you like information, and I know how you've read all the books in the basement already, so you like learning new things. So I try and speak incessantly and quickly and as often as I can to maximize the amount of time that you spend with me, because ultimately, that's the most important thing. That's how you build a friendship, right?
So I've read on countless occasions, as I've never actually had a friend.
Oh, well, you do now. I'm very friendly. Everyone says so. In fact, I'm everyone in my party's best friend, but don't tell anyone because they would get jealous of each other. Even Togo, and Togo just arrived. I'm really quite delightful. But I called you here for a reason, and it's not because we're friends, it's because we are friends, and also because I think you can help me. Some years ago, I'm given to understand that someone came to Candlekeep and was humming an incessant tune, but they were quarantined and not much was understood of it. I know you were here at that time, so I wondered if you had any thoughts on it. It's somewhat pressing because now other people are doing it, including myself, and Mizya, and Togo, and not Tira, but you know, others here, and they're being quarantined, and I wonder if you might have any insight into it.
I do recall some 600 years ago. The singing sickness that swept the stacks. Incessant singing of a childish nursery rhyme. It started harmless enough at first. A little bit of humming here, a little whistling there. But as more and more people became infected, the singing grew around the great library. And the humming, the whistling turned to singing the verses of this rhyme. Eventually, everyone was split apart and brought to different parts of the library, and over time some of them got better. It was believed that a book was brought to Candlekeep at that time that may have caused this, though no one knows for certain, myself included in that number.
Oh, well, if you had known, would have been convenient. But I
Too
understand you can't be
convenient.
everywhere all at once. Maybe not too convenient, maybe just convenient enough.
I am not omnipresent, nor am I omnipotent. I am but a dragon.
Yes, I understand. I too am not prescient or omniscient. I just know a lot, and generally considered to be delightful. Although I wouldn't say that myself because I'm also quite humble, and if I was to say it myself, then people might not think me so humble. And obviously I am quite humble. I'm more of a presenter of facts than I am of opinions. Therefore, I only say what I know as opposed to what I think, unless people ask me what I think, and then of course I'll give them my opinion. But that's not generally why people approach me, although sometimes it is because I am very smart. Do you know how they solved the problem?
As I said, I believe they moved people to different parts of the library, separating them from one another. I believe that clerics were brought in to cast any number of restoration spells that were able to remove the curses of individuals. It seems if all of you are plagued by this once again, whatever is the cause is somewhere here in the Firefly Cellar. And you see the head begin to rise a little bit more, this massive dragon head, too big to fill in fit in this entire this corridor that you're standing in. So it does that sort of video gamey thing where the head is sort of clipping through the walls, and you see Miriam begins looking around, turning her head and sort of peering, and you see this sort of sideways blinking of the spectral eyes as she seems to be looking around, looking up, almost as if she's looking through the walls and floors. Curious.
What is?
I don't know what the cause is, but perhaps he does. And her entire body has shifted underneath you, under the ground, moving through stone and foundation and whatever else, as the head shifts around, and you see now that Miriam is staring at the door that Crinkle came out of.
Oh, I should go that way?
You may want to talk to the one who was in there.
Oh, okay. Because you said coming, I just thought that. Yeah, great. Okay, wonderful. Well, Miriam, thank you for your time. I always appreciate talking to you. And is there any other information you want from the surface? I can get you the football scores next, or the orc ball. I know Vorn is a very passionate consumer of orc ball scores from the north. Tira too, although I haven't really asked her about it, though she was raised in an orc tribe, so you'd think that maybe, just maybe, she'd be interested in it too. But I can't say for sure because I've never asked her, but if you're interested, I could.
Perhaps someday, again, you can regale me with your sports scores. I don't know what these sports are, but I find this new information fascinating. I have spent far longer this close to the surface than I feel comfortable. I will retreat to my catacombs.
Yes, very well. That sounds great. Thank you for your time, Miriam. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful trip back down below. I'll say hello to everyone for you because I know that you're a good creature and you like to help and you're always interested in people's company. So I'll see you later, and goodbye, my friend. It's wonderful to see you.
Mizya, from where you are prestidigitating your pickle juice off of your clothes, down the hall, you realize Doc is about 30 feet down at the end of the hall and appears to be animatedly talking to someone or something, though you don't see anyone there.
Curious. Well, and I'm going to just kind of, as quickly as I do, just walk down to the end of the hallway. And I don't see anything as I get closer, correct? As far as what Doc may be talking to?
I would say make a perception check.
Nat 20 for a 24.
Yay!
You do see how you choose to perceive this. As you catch the final words Doc says, saying goodbye, you swear you see a gigantic spectral dragon's head dip below the surface as a creature dipping below the surface of the water.
So I think as I'm walking down the hallway, just kind of muttering under my breath, as Doc is talking to himself again, it's always something odd, isn't what? And I just stop in my tracks as I see this. Doctor?
Mizya?
Would you... What? Were you talking to a spectral dragon?
Yes.
Well, never ceases to surprise me, do you? Why were you talking to a spectral dragon?
Well, As you know, allegedly, the singing sickness happened some 600 years ago when it was previously quarantined. It made me think to myself, they must have solved it previously, because clearly people aren't still singing. So I thought, Doc, can you solve this problem? And I said to myself, no, I can't. Do I know anybody who might be able to? Was anybody here that I have access to that I could speak with that might have the answer? Yes, Miriam, the spirit dragon who lives in the catacombs, who I met previously while exploring. So I said to myself, Doc, can you speak to Miriam? So I said, Miriam, Miriam, Miriam. After a time, Miriam came to see what I was doing. Miriam is very curious, you see, because they don't spend much time out of the catacombs. Their information is very out of date, so I try and bring them new and updated information as often as I can. But since Miriam was here previously, 600 years ago, I figured that they would have some understanding of what happened 600 years ago, vis-a-vis the singing sickness that I mentioned previously. Miriam said, did you want me to continue, or would you like to interrupt?
Oh, sometimes it's hard to tell where you're pausing or if you're pausing. So
that's why I try not to pause, to make it clear that I'm not pausing. But would you like me to go ahead? Because there's more.
I get the gist. Maybe you could just skip to the part where you found out something.
I was about to explain, you see, that Miriam told me that the people who were singing were quarantined. They had clerics come in and they would do their restoration spells, but each division of people was put in a separate place, and eventually some of them got better. However, she'd specified that some of them got better. She didn't say that all of them got better. So it got me to thinking, if all of them got better, she would have said so. Therefore, they didn't. So I wonder, what was different about the people who got better and the people who didn't? Then she gave me one further piece of information. She looked at the door down at the end of the hallway where the Kenku fellow came through and was squawking up a storm, and said he might know something in more or less those terms. Not exactly, though she indicated that I should speak with him. But before I go to speak to him, my plan is to go through that room and see what's there, because ultimately it's better to have a basis of understanding when you're doing this type of forensic investigation than to just go off half-cocked. And as you know, I don't generally go off-cocked, so I just like to know what I'm doing. I like to base it on a series of facts that I can go before I make a supposition. After all, I'm a detective.
Remind me when this is over to teach you what skip means.
Punctuation of any kind, I feel like would help.
Well
I
done.
bought a cutscene. You can't skip me. Sorry.
As this massive information download is happening, down at the end of the hall by the stairs, Varnier and Cthulhu have sort of made their way down, having heard some of the commotion, and are sort of walking down the corridor to meet up at the end of this sort of junction of the two hallways where Tira, Galeby, Edber, and Togo are. And you all hear this, the incessant humming that you've been hearing, that the other two are humming. And then you notice that Galeby, the little girl, has started singing words to this tune. As you hear the humming along, you suddenly hear, "See a mother scything wheat, forgotten husband sleeping near. With one swing she took his feet, with another took his ear." And then you hear Edber, "Does the shadow have a name? Shemshime. Causes grief, avoids the blame. Shemshime." Tira suddenly sings, "See a dog that knows how to heal, never heeds plea nor command." Then Togo says, "Mother gave it a tasty meal. Dog chose instead to eat her hand." Mizya says, "Does the shadow have a name? Shemshime." Doc sings, "Causes grief, avoids the blame. Shemshime." Barnier sings, see a son doing his chore, washing clothes for folk in town. Fell into the river's roar, sank to the bottom and drowned. And then Cthulhu says, does the shadow have a name? Shemshime causes grief, avoids the blame. Shemshime. And the door at the end of the hall opens up, and you see a brilliant golden light spilling out, and silhouetted in the midst of this light, floating in the air, is a human skull.
Oh, God.
And it is singing loudly this tune. And that's where we're going to take our break.
Okay, hold on. Real quick, where is the skull again? I was blind for a second.
So they're at the end of the hall now. Sort of picture this camera sort of moving through the crowd and getting closer, moving past each person singing until it gets to the very end of the hallway, where this door opens up and there is a room filled with a golden light, and the skull is floating in the middle, backlit by all this light. And its jaw is moving up and down as it sings. You hear words coming from its mouth to match all of your singing. We're going to take a break, and we will be back in just 10 minutes to see what the hell is going on. We'll see you on the other side.
I didn't want to sleep tonight anyways. We're good.
Yeah.
Wait, this is Mythos?
Oh, shit.
And we're back. You have just witnessed the floating singing skull as you all are in this hallway, also singing the lyrics to the song that's been stuck in your head. What are you doing?
Tira would take her sword off of her back, just ready to frickin' go. Shing.
Was I singing? I mean, I know you all were singing. Was I singing too?
Yes.
This is not right.
I don't know if I like that song anymore. It's quite depressing.
No, it's one of those that's very catchy, but at the same time, it's very dark, like Pumped Up Kicks. Well, team, what are we gonna do? Should we go just kill that thing? I mean, that's my first instinct, but...
Do we see it, or...
Yeah, you all see the skull.
Oh, we all see this. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought for some reason I was thinking it was in a different room.
It is in a different room. It's just at the end of the hall.
But we can all see
bathed
it.
in a golden light, which at this point now, the golden light is sort of spilling into the hallway, quite literally, as hundreds of fireflies are slowly drifting out of this room and are starting to make their way into this area.
Doc is going to walk toward the door that what was the name of the Kenku again?
Crinkle.
That Crinkle came out of, and he's going to go walk through it.
You're gonna walk
follow
in.
Doc.
All right, you walk into the room, and the skull is quietly, but still floating, and is singing this song. In this room, once you get into the room, the brightness of it seems to subside a bit, and you find that you are completely are surrounded by, mostly in glass terrariums, thousands of fireflies all along the shelves and the walls. You hear just a real slight, steady plinking sound as they're sort of like tinking against the glass, and then the lower shelves have wooden boxes, small wooden boxes on them. As you step into here, go ahead and make a investigation or perception check.
Doc is going to look around, and he's going to bring out his magnifying glass, and he's going to say, "You can do it." And with Tira's support, I'm feeling advantageous.
You should. I got a 12.
Okay.
Was that a subtle way to say you're using a domain tome?
No, I feel like because Tira's there assisting me.
I'm watching his back from any danger so he can really give himself
Really
this
focus, you know, like
investigation.
focus on this
Exactly.
investigation. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Your Honor. We
I
rest
can't-
our case.
I can't wait to see the spin-off Law and Order show with Tira and Doc.
Dun dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
Tira represents the law enforcement, and Doc is the
I'm the law part.
Okay, so
Actually, Doc would probably be the law part. Tira's the order.
So as Doc steps into the room, and he hears the plinking of the fireflies against the glass, his eyes go milky white, and his mind is taken to a similar sound. It's something banging on glass rhythmically coming from multiple directions, and he opens his eyes and he sees a large furred creature slam its shoulder into the glass, and then he's brought back into the present, and that is a 25 investigation.
With that investigation, as you're looking around, you notice that on the floor of this room, you notice that there's a section of sort of over near the wall, near one of the shelves, that somebody has taken and carved into the floorboards in just jagged, frantic script. Finish the rhyme.
Okay.
Finish the rhyme. Huh. Finish the rhyme. I don't even know what that means.
With that 25, and as you're looking at that, I think you would also notice that the lowest shelf along this wall that you're just a few feet away from, there is a excuse me. You notice that there is a it's sort of like where, you know how some bookshelves, they don't quite go all the way to the floor, so there's those couple of inches underneath it. You see that one of the stones under this shelf is askew. It looks like it's been moved or never seated properly, but a properly laid floor wouldn't have a stone that looked like it was loose and you could see a gap around. This looks like it could be the cover to a compartment or something similar.
Okay, Doc will approach and see if he can monkey with it.
Tira's just kind of like staying like right on his back and just sort of staring at this skull.
Doc, as you
kind of.
begin to maneuver this shelf and finagle it so that you can get to this, you find that you can move a couple of the boxes, which they appear to have this sort of liquid nutrient, sort of a food source for these fireflies. And then you're able to move the shelf. What are the rest of you doing as Doc is all of a sudden gone Sherlock Holmes, and Tira's standing watch staring down this singing skull?
Do I have any recollection of the words to this? I mean, I know we didn't know the tune, but are the words something I would have come across at any point?
No, if you missed on the tune, you missed on the words too. Actually,
Togo is
I would say, sorry, I would say go ahead and you could make a history check.
It's just a 13. I'm assuming that
Yeah,
won't get it.
you have no idea what this is. Go ahead, Togo.
Togo wants to walk towards the skull, who's just singing.
As you walk up, you're standing next to Tira, who's a few feet away, sword drawn and at the ready.
Ha, he says, as to the skull as he's
Hi. Oh.
looking. He looks to Tira. Have you heard anything else come from this skull?
Nope. Just that creepy ass song.
Right.
I mean, it ain't invited me to brunch. What do you want?
Togo looks at the skull again, scratching his head. Oh, skull, can you say anything else? He says.
The skull, in reaction to you saying this, just seems to up the volume at which it's singing as it begins the next verse. Tira,
Yeah.
as
What?
the skull begins singing, you know how when you stare, like unblinking at something, everything in your peripheral vision seems to start to fade away, lines and shapes and everything?
Yeah.
Spilling out as the light, staring at the skull, you just see this, everything sort of coalesce into a unbroken ambient golden glow around you. You hear Togo speaking to you, but even out of the edge of your peripheral, Togo seems to vanish in this wash of golden light. And you see as the skull is singing, as it, with every, what would be breath, but as it says each syllable of this song, you see a thick, black, shadowy mist begin to spill out of its eyes and its mouth.
Oh.
This begins to take a form that is Tira's worst nightmare. What is that?
Tira's worst nightmare. Boy, that's hard. Probably, honestly, like, it would probably be like Vorn if he went like full dark side. Like if he went like fully asshole. If that makes sense. She can kind of sense him like having his struggles, and if he's like evil Vorn, that would hurt.
You watch as this shadow and mist begins to coalesce and form around, and you watch the shadow sort of spill over the skull until it forms Vorn's face and features and spills down, filling out the rest of Vorn. And you see that there are no whites or pupils to Vorn's eyes. You see that they are empty, shadowy sockets. You see Vorn holds in one hand the shadowy katana that he has recently acquired, the one he calls the Queen, the Hand of the Queen. You see him looking at you, and Vorn looks at you and says, "After all this time, I found him for you, Tira." And looks to the side, And you see another form begin to take shape. The shape of Dirkhead.
Oh,
Your father.
No. Oh, God.
I brought him for you. He's all yours, but there's a sudden flash of shadow and silver. Your father falls forward, his head still held by the hair in Vorn's other hand as he said, I gotta keep my trophy. I need you to make a intelligence
Sanity check.
saving sanity check. Intelligence saving throw.
Oh, God. This will go well. It is... Oh, it's a 15.
You take 7 points of psychic damage.
Oh.
But there's something about this manifestation that doesn't quite take hold and doesn't quite cement itself as real to you. So you are not afraid of it. But you see this vision of Vorn standing before you, holding your father's head, your father's body having fallen to the floor at your feet. What do?
I mean, does it all like look very like material, or does it look like...
Oh,
like
it looks
ghostly?
very real.
Oh my God. Tira would strike. She would attack fake Born.
Togo, there is a flash of movement next to you as Tira suddenly lashes out towards the skull. Tira, make an attack.
I will. Oh my God. Okay. That's a 21 to hit.
That's a hit.
Okay. Is it too much to hope that this thing takes cold damage? Can I roll my cold damage?
You roll your cold damage anytime you make an attack.
I don't know how cold damage works.
So if you have any weapon that deals extra attack damage, you just automatically get to add that. Whether or not it works, you have to wait and see, but...
Okay. So I did 9 points of normal damage and then 2 points of cold damage.
So you all watch, and Togo, right next to you, Tira's sword flashes upward and strikes this skull, shattering it. All of you hear the singing from the skull immediately stop. But in the same way as if you had just burst a balloon filled with some kind of powder, shadow spills out into the room, and you all see as 3 shadowy forms coalesce. The light of the fireflies seems to grow dimmer, and that space that grows between each illuminated firefly becomes these shapes of 3 sort of humanoid shapes, and I need you all to roll initiative.
Oh, sorry, guys.
What?
Roll a 4.
I thought you said, what the and then stop.
That's what I thought you said, too.
That's what my inner monologue said.
Togo, what'd you hit?
I got an 8.
Tira?
12.
Doc.
20.
Wow. Doc.
And
So agile today.
delay on the dice roller there. Vorn has a 17. And that's a... Okay. Doc, you are up first.
So what do we see?
3 shadowy humanoid forms have coalesced.
Okay. 3 shadowy humanoid forms have coalesced. Great.
After Tira split
Uh,
the skull with her frozen greatsword.
Great. I love.
It looked really cool. If any of you guys are mad at me, just so you know, it was worth it. It looked like one of those gender reveal baseballs that just goes pooh into nothing. Powder.
Doc is going to yeah, Doc is just going to step forward and try and grapple one of them.
Okay.
Nice. Dot gives the best hugs.
23 athletics.
That beats my 18 as you grapple one of these shadow forms. It does have physical form. You now have it grappled.
So Doc has a shadow grappled, and he's like, "Ha ha!
I have you now.
All right, I'm done."
Okay, so that shadow is going to attempt to strike at you. That'll be at disadvantage. Will it be a disadvantage? I always forget how grapple works. It is going to attack you. I just need to find out if
Sure.
If that's going to be, I don't know why my entire system has slowed down. I think the stream is buffering, so that's awesome. No, it does not have disadvantage. Hold on, my okay, there we go. For whatever reason, my computer is just tanking right now. Okay. I will roll physical dice instead of this. So it is going to attempt to, as you sort of grapple at it, basically takes its head and tries to headbutt you.
Okay.
But you've got too good of a hold on it. With a 8, it will not succeed.
Nice.
One of the shadows comes quickly moving into your face, Tira. And it reaches for your sword arm.
Huh.
That is a 21 to hit.
Yeah, that hits.
So you will take 9 points of necrotic damage as it touches you, and you see these sort of. Are you going to interject something, Togo?
Yeah, Togo has
I can
a
tell.
thing.
As a paladin, I know
Togo has
paladins
a thing
can,
for the
paladins have interrupts.
I got a
So
thing.
okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, just blurt it out when that happens, because I know.
Yeah,
That's a
I know
thing.
paladins are silly, but Togo is going to intercept that and take it. I just use my reaction to reduce the amount of damage the target takes. So,
Okay.
Nice.
as you see this thing reaching towards your sword hand here, you see a giant maul just come crashing down in between you and the shadow thing to deflect this thing's arm.
Nice.
And I take off 6 of that damage.
Wow.
So you
I only
watch-
take 3.
As it's touching your arm and Togo sort of breaks that contact, the shadow sort of goes and suddenly the hand is holding onto your hand, Togo. Because you have taken the bulk of the damage from this, you're going to get the secondary effect.
Oh no.
Your strength score is reduced by 4 points.
Oh god.
Thanks, Em. It's really important I have my strength points.
So for the, I think you
No.
can put a modifier on that
Yeah.
by right clicking on it. I believe it lets you put a temporary modifier. But yeah, your actual score reduces, which means I believe you drop by, your bonus drops by 2 with that.
2.
Yeah.
So,
Ugh.
the third one is going for Mizya. And Mizya, this third shadow seems almost... You watch as it seems to sort of flicker. It keeps moving too close to the firefly cages, terrariums, and it's unable to get a good read on where you are. And as it tries to reach for you, it misses so badly, you get an opportunity attack. It has to be a single melee attack.
Yeah, because that's the thing that I do a lot is melee attacks.
It's kind of Mizya's thing.
I do have a dagger, so
Well,
that's a 13 to hit.
That does hit. Let's say the only time Mizya has ever used that dagger, you weren't here, and I used it to do an opportunity attack.
That's like my guess is it's a wrist dagger that's inside my, robe just for this reason.
I would
if
also
somebody gets too close.
I would also allow, because the damage would be similar as an improvised weapon, if you just hit something with your spell book.
Okay.
Or punched of that kind of stuff. Well, punch probably wouldn't work because that's probably your strength.
Mizya is
makes
not
it
going
negative.
to hit anything with their spellbook. So I like wrist dagger.
I like
okay.
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. You just see this like flick of ring.
We're
this,
learning
flick of
something new
silver
about Mizya.
Is right. And I 7 points of damage. So
wow. If a shadow could bleed.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
Vorn is going to... Vorn is just gonna come into where the one that attacked at Tira. I think Vorn's gonna go for that one. That is gonna be... It's a 14 to hit. And wielding it with... Hold on. This thing is ridiculous. Not a crit. It's not going to do that. Okay. So, wielding with two hands deals 1d10 plus magical bonus damage. Vorn does 15 points of slashing damage on the first attack.
Wow. So strong, yeah.
And gets a 24 to hit with the second attack. So that's a total of 29 points. So Vorn comes into this first one that attacked you, Tira, and obliterates it. You just see him move forward, and in stark contrast to the vision you had of him moments before, he does have the whites of his eyes and the pupils and a fierce determination as two quick slashes of the shadow katana, and this shadow dissipates, and it almost for a moment looks as if the shadow goes and is pulled into the blade.
Oh, cool.
Tira, It is your
Okay.
turn.
Well, I would first like to rage, please. And then I want to. So we have 2 left, correct?
Correct.
Correct. I want to get to the one that is nearest Mizya. No, does the one that attacked me and hurt Togo is dead, right?
Yep.
Is gone.
There's one on
Okay.
Mizya,
And I wanna
and Doc has one grappled.
Gotcha. Then I want to go to the one nearest Mizya. And I would like to try to attack it, please.
Go for it.
Here I go. It's a 16 to hit.
That is a hit.
Sick. All right, that is 10 points of normal damage and 1 additional cold damage if it takes the cold damage.
Okay. So that's 11 points total. You slice into it, driving your greatsword down through this, and you watch as the pieces of shadow for a moment seem to freeze and then shatter as this thing dissipates into nothingness.
Nice.
As you destroy
Nice.
this shadow.
Sick. Okay.
Do you still have a second attack?
I do. So can I get to the other one and still attack? Can I move, attack, move, and attack?
Yep.
Okay. I call this the attack Oreo. Here we go. Ooh, that is only a 10 to hit.
You
It's very bad.
come bearing down. Oh, wait, you actually would roll with advantage because Doc has it grappled.
Oh, awesome. That's a 16 to hit.
That is going to hit.
Yay! Good. Okay, here we go. That is another 10 points of normal damage and another 1 point of cold damage. 11 total.
As you
Oh, sorry, and 2 because I'm raging. Sorry, 2 more. I've had 13 total.
You swing your sword with a controlled accuracy, not slicing into Doc, who's holding onto the shadow. As you cut through it, and Doc, you feel this shadow dissipate into nothingness in your grip. But as its face is looking up at you, you just hear its final words. Finish the rhyme. And you are out of combat.
Finish the rhyme. Finish the rhyme. Finish the rhyme.
What?
We have to finish the rhyme.
The hell does that mean?
Well, I think we have to write the end of the rhyme, don't we? So, I think I did it in my mind.
Ugh.
I finished it. Does nobody not want to hear it?
I don't.
What is wrong with you, Tira?
Nothing. I just don't want to hear the rhyme right now.
Okay, Togo, you have a role in this retelling. So, when I say, don't the shadow have a name? Does the shadow have a name? You have to say Shemshime. And then when I say, causes grief, avoiding blame, you say Shemshime.
All right.
Okay. See a dad shelving pickles, making a meal for Mizya, laughing so hard it kind of tickles, acting like a dope Mizya. Does the shadow have a name?
Shemshime.
Causes grief, avoids the blame?
Shemshime.
Oh my god.
Make a performance check.
Yes! Oh my god! Tira
You can
is
do
looking
it.
hauntedly at Vorn this whole time.
I'm going to use a tome. Taking us down to +10, please, Jake.
Wait, plus 10? Oh, well.
Well, it's 15 actually, but
It's 10 and then 5 on tomes.
Now I have to look at who fucking performance. Okay. 19. So Doc, his eyes go white for a moment. and he hears dripping, as if from a cave or a stalactite, but water is dripping into a pool. And he hears a haunting melody of a lonely voice echoing through a vast underground cavern. And as he looks out, trying to place the voice, instead he's brought back to the present. 21 performance.
I need everybody to make a wisdom saving throw.
Oh God.
I'm great
Also,
at
I
these.
forgot to say everyone within 10 feet of me gets a +1 to their saving throws.
Oh.
Thanks.
So I have
I
a
would say-
natural +0.
I
That's
would-
dope.
That would be pretty much all of you. You're all grouped in.
Yeah, I failed.
It's a plus what?
I got a
+1.
+1.
They said.
Plus 1?
16 total.
I got an 8.
I got a 2.
So it was
Jesus.
wisdom?
Wisdom.
Correct.
Thorn got an 8.
Oh, God. I got a 6.
So, Tira, you're the only one that passes this wisdom saving
I've
throw.
looked into the void. I know it. It's an old friend. Shit. Oh shit.
Oh, you guys got lucky. I rolled a 1. You all take 4 points of psychic damage, except for Tira,
Ugh.
as you all hear in your head, Shemshime. You hear the voice, Tira, but you don't take the psychic damage.
Yeah. Ah.
Well, that's all I could think of, because in the rhyme they talk about the mother and the child and the dog, but missing was the father. So I figured maybe that's how you finish the rhyme. You finish the rhyme by integrating the person who is missing in the traditionally expected family dichotomy, but obviously that wasn't right because I didn't finish the rhyme correctly.
I put
and
my
here we
hand
are-
on Doc's chest and I just kind of like pat him like, it was good, Doc. It was perfect.
Well, I mean, it was really good. It wasn't perfect though, clearly. Togo, you did very well.
Togo smiles, but you see Togo is like leaning very heavily on his maul, as if he's using it for like way more support than he should.
What's wrong with Togo?
He's hurt, Doc.
Well, I can see that he's hurt. When did he get hurt?
Well, it was when and he looks to Tira when I brought them all down on your
When he
that
stopped-
shadow.
When he stopped me from getting hurt, and I kind of nod affirmingly at Togo.
Right. It just, I feel very weak. I'm sure it'll pass. I didn't have any breakfast this morning.
Oh, well, okay then. So the shadow whispered into my ear that we should finish the rhyme, and then I tried to do that. Mizya, do you have any thoughts?
I'm at something of a loss right now, Doctor. Should we perhaps look around and see if there's anything else in this room? Didn't you say there were some books, Jake?
There was
Or some-
absolutely no mention of books in this room. It's
I thought you said
fireflies,
something at the bottom of shelves.
boxes.
So, boxes.
There were
okay.
boxes that turned out to be nutrients. Doc, before the attack, you were in the process of, you had moved a couple boxes and had moved the shelf to get to that loose stone, but you hadn't actually opened it yet.
Okay.
Because I did something. It
Oh,
was silly.
yeah. Well, Mizya, you can take a look if you like. I found this little opening for containers and things.
Yes, let's see what we can find, and I will start to kind of leap through as well. I'm
What-
just looking for any.
What's
Other
your
information.
strength score, Mizya?
That's a +0. I'm a 10.
10?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's enough.
Okay.
It's a little heavy, but the flagstone that's loose, you're able to move it out of the way. And once you move that one, you can move a couple more. You see that you're looking down into a nook that's about 5 feet deep and 5 feet across. It's sorry, by 5 feet deep, I mean kind of going back into the wall, not 5 feet down. It's only about a foot deep. Inside this little nook, you find several bones, and you make out that there are basically 2 humanoid skeletons in here, except one of them is missing its skull, pieces of which are shattered around the floor.
Oh my.
Oops.
Quick,
What's it?
gather the pieces, and I just start to kind of I'm looking down into this. I'm kind of pointing back.
The pieces
shoulder.
of the skull.
Yes, the skull pieces. Gather those, please. There's a
Ew,
skull
why?
missing down here, and I
kind of look at Togo and I sort of like shrug, and then I immediately start gathering up all the bits.
Anyone have a broom?
Togo will help. But as he's like by Tira, he kind of leans in. He's like, "Are you all right? I saw that you were. I mean, I know that skull was quite annoying, but you reacted so violently.
Yeah.
Unless that's usual for you."
Oh, it's quite usual for her. I just kind of like over my shoulder.
This is an A and B conversation, Mizya, and Tira just keeps picking up the thing, and
I'll be right here listening.
and Tira rolls her eyes and just is picking up the skull pieces, and they're like, yeah. First of all, yeah, that is Mizya's not wrong. It is usually the way I am, but yeah, it was the psychic stuff, you know, that magic shit, and it showed me some stuff that was not pleasant. So, you know, I don't trust all that magic shit. So, I mean, of course, not like except from your deity, of course. And Tira's just like gathering up all the pieces. She finds a tooth.
Yeah. So Togo like reaches into the back of his shell and he takes out a little gold coin, and he is going to give it to Tira. And if you look, it has a picture of a woman. And if Tira knows anything about gods, it's Timora. But well, I was always told when I get scared that Timora will be there to help me. 'Cause Timora loves heroes and people taking control of their own destiny. But it's a charm. It'll help you. It helps me, you know, when the bad thoughts are the psychic things. Just hold it, spin it, puts you back in reality.
All right. Well, thank you, Togo. I appreciate it, and thanks again. And I would kind of bap Togo's arm that got the brunt of the strength stuff, and it's like, thanks again.
Yeah, he probably winces at that, and I imagine that it probably manifests as like these like deep vein, like dark blackness, kind of like the shadow still kind of taking a hold and still like wisping over a surface. So as soon as you slap it, you see like maybe a few of the wisps come out.
Sorry.
Eventually,
and at this point, Tira would stand. That's just a freaking.
I mean, it's not like you broke into 1,000 pieces, but a couple dozen pieces, and give me just an investigation check.
Okay. 6.
Okay, you got about 60% of the skull that you're able to reassemble.
I just kind of hand it over to Mizya. Be like, here you go.
And the only reason you
So-
didn't get the other pieces is because they are powder.
Yeah.
Bone dust.
Okay. So I think I Doctor, do you have anything in your collection there that might be sticky, perhaps? And I'm like, I hold up a couple of pieces and I kind of like push them together.
Sticky. Let me see. Let me think. I'm gonna look into my bag. He's gonna open up his medicine bag. He says, Ascidian pipe? No. Pitons? No. Hammer? And he's like just like tossing it behind him. Hempen rope? No.
Mizya, this is pretty gross. Do you have something else I can put this
No.
in?
No, just be patient, please.
Phase spider? Oh wait, no, I have an idea. He's gonna go into his bag. And he's going to pull out a box of rations. And the rations are sort of dry. But they're he's gonna like take out some potatoes. I'm not sure.
Oh,
Chewing
God,
on the
you're smart.
potatoes. Just salt, and then he's gonna like spit the potatoes into his hand, and he's gonna salt it so that they dry and harden more quickly. And he's gonna sort of like put the mashed potato to sort of like seal the skull together. This is some
Yes.
armchair archaeology shit here.
Well,
2
well
degrees.
done. Even matching the color more or less. Well done, Doctor.
There was a part of
Yes.
me that wanted to
And-
argue with that, but knowing Gary has a legitimate archaeology background, I'm not going to argue with this.
No,
I also
this is-
know that if you leave
legit.
any kind of potatoes in a pan for very long at all, that it gets
Oh, yeah.
ridiculously hard. So
Mhm.
this
Need a
beats what
chisel.
I was going to offer up from the pantry.
I will take
Well
an
done.
inspiration.
I was actually going to award you a point of inspiration for that.
Yay!
Thank
Great
you.
minds.
I
Still
will,
on the
There's
bones.
somewhere in the back, nobody really sees it, but Edbur had run to the kitchen and grabbed a jar of something, and he comes running back real quickly in time to see Doc using this sort of mashed potato field expedient glue, and he just kind of he's like, oh, and he just
He's so
slowly
helpful.
walks back with his jar that he had of blue honeyberry jam.
So I will, after Doc and I a few moment or two to assemble the 60% of the skull, and I will just very carefully take it and lower it down into this hole where the missing head was.
Before you lower it down, as you are assembling it, the two of you would notice this skull, as you sort of put together where the back of the skull is, most of what's missing is pieces of the lower jaw and several of the teeth. One of the orbital eye sockets is sort of missing a big chunk. But you notice in the back where the pieces, it's actually mostly in one piece. There's a hole in the skull. A hole that looks like it was made by some kind of a sharp instrument.
Ooh.
Possibly a cause of death.
Ooh.
That's
I-
one way to stop somebody from singing.
Can I make maybe a medicine check to see if I I can get any more details out of this, what it might have been?
Yeah, you
or-
can absolutely do an investigation or a medicine check on some CSI.
Looks like it's time for
Candlekeep
episode
stuff.
2 of
Oh.
Doc CSI.
Wait, that's an 11.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much what seems to be obvious is that this person was killed, and this was whatever caused it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's well, and as I'm kind of lowering it down, I will just kind of point. It looks like this one was stabbed in the back of the neck with something pointy and sharp.
Yes.
So-
Doc, has done some shit.
That's an understatement.
Does this seem like the way that someone perhaps might be put out of their misery very quickly, offer a quick death, like with a hammer and piton style?
I would allow you to also make a history or medicine check to do some forensic science here. What a time to not have a cleric in your party.
You can do it.
Or a necromancer.
Only 15.
I would say with a 15, the only additional information you can glean from this is this does not look like a mercy type.
Okay.
Put somebody out of their misery. The placement of it at the back of the skull, sort of coming up from a low angle, this looks like it was murder.
Okay.
Oh my god, I have an idea, but I can't say it because Tira's not smart enough.
Well, Mizya, I'm afraid I don't know any more than you do. I've examined this crime scene, and, well, that's all I know.
Very well. Can I put this down now?
The skull? The potato skull? Yeah, sure.
No, hold on to it for a minute, Mizya. Hold on to it for like a while we talk and think.
That sounds silly. I would never do that. And
Why
I will
would
set
you
it
do
down
that?
into
That
the
doesn't
hole.
make any sense, Tira. Togo, does that make any sense to you?
Togo's like scratching his head. Well, nothing really makes sense to me right now, so.
Oh, is that because
No.
of the...
Togo like makes the same hand gesture. Yeah. Which room are we in? We're in a room, right? Sorry, I'm.
Yeah.
Okay. Whose room? Which room?
So you're in the room at the end of the hall that appears to be where all of the well, it's the firefly room. It's where all of the fireflies are kept and probably fed and rotated out that are illuminating all the lights. And that's what it appears to be. A point of note is that anytime somebody is not talking, this includes Gilby, Edbur, Varnier, and Cthulhu, they are singing softly this Shemshime tune. And they are all singing, and you yourselves, if you go more than a couple moments without talking or thinking about what you're doing at hand, the song comes unbidden to your lips. And I would like everybody to make a perception check.
9.
4.
17.
23.
Wow.
What'd you get, Togo?
17.
Nice.
Togo and Mizya, you notice that Cthulhu, the tabaxi, that sort of looks like a Siamese cat, she is pacing, and her tail is twitching in that way when a cat is frustrated or irritated, and she's pacing back and forth, and you can see her sort of biting at her lips, trying to physically hold back the singing. And she leans back against one of the walls. She hasn't entered this room. She's been out in the hallway, and Varnier's sort of standing near this doorway, Crinkle's still standing out in the hallway, kind of watching, with Gilby still nearby, as well as Edber. But Cthulhu is the one who looks the most distraught, and she kind of leans against the wall, and she starts... And she's looking like she's just very much at her wit's end with this. And then you watch, she just goes, I can't take it anymore. And she suddenly lunges at the old elven woman, Varnir. And you see as she, with one hand, pushes Varnir up against the wall. And you see her hand flash, and you watch as shing, claws come out. I need to get out of here. You will give me the key now. Give me...
And Togo
Go ahead.
Togo wants to immediately, after noticing kind of this and seeing this play out for a bit before, Togo wants to rush towards the tabaxi and like intercept through, like, be the between.
Nice.
You get out of my way, or I will slash myself through you. She's got the key. The one that is holding us in here.
Hold on. Listen.
I can't take it anymore with this song.
Togo rests his hands on, like hovering over, like not actually touching the tabaxi, but just kind of like hovering. Listen, we don't want to be here as much as you do. We're trying to figure this out. You see how much progress we've already made. We found skeletons. You know, we know that it has a salt. We're getting closer. I promise. We will all be out, but this is not... We cannot resort to violence. We have to work together. He's like trying to like meet her eyes and like making sure, like trying to make eye contact with her.
Make a charisma persuasion check.
Wow.
I'm gonna use my luck.
Yay.
That was worse.
No. Does the tabaxi still have their hands on the elf?
Varnir's one hand is still pressing Varnir the elf, but the hand that was held up with the claws out, the only way she could do anything because of the way Togo's imposed himself is she would have to attack it at Togo.
At Togo. Okay. Wow. Oof.
It's a 10.
Tira has her sword out by this point.
You see, as you're trying to talk her down, you see her sort of relax. And then you see the hand that's holding up against Varnir release a little bit. And then you see the claws come out. And with that hand, she's going to slash at Varnir's what do you call it?
Jugular?
No, robes.
Oh, I was curious.
At her robes. She's not trying to.
Oh.
She's not trying to kill her or anything.
Oh.
But she makes a clumsy move, and one claw sort of catches, but it doesn't really do much to tear. And you watch Varnir actually reaches up and puts a steadying hand on Cthulhu. And Varnir looks at Cthulhu and says, I I don't blame you. This is a very trying thing that we are in. I do not blame you for your frustration. That is a 10 also for her, as Varnir attempting to persuade her. And this time you feel, Togo, and you see this, Mizya, with your passive, you see the situation is rapidly moving out of hand, and this tabaxi is about to attack Varnir or Togo or both in her attempt to get at whatever key she thinks Varnir has. Do you do anything to intercede?
I'm going to cast Sanctuary on Varnir.
Oh.
So in order protects, well, actually no, that won't work. Never mind. That's only range. It only protects against ranged attacks, so that's not going to help.
No. You ward a creature within range against attack.
Oh, okay. Yep. So yes, then I do cast Sanctuary, and they have to save on a Wisdom saving throw, and if they fail, then they have to choose a different. If they attack Varnir, they have to choose a different target for their attack.
Okay.
Well, I know somebody who's right there. Togo, good luck.
So that's a wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
What's the DC?
14.
As you cast this spell, you see that Cthulhu starts to raise this hand again to strike, and you see as the hand comes up and is about to come down, and you see your spell sort of settle in as you cast it, and there's this moment where suddenly Cthulhu's gaze flicks over to Togo, and then it's just like all of the air is just let out, and you just see the claws on both hands retract, and Cthulhu slumps down and actually sort of slumps into you, Togo.
Yeah. Togo immediately
So sorry.
holds Cthulhu.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And she just keeps repeating, I'm sorry, as she's just sobbing into your arms.
Yeah, Togo holds her and just says, "It's all right. It's okay. We're gonna get out of here."
I need Mizya to roll me a d6.
That's a 3.
Reroll it.
That's a 6.
All right. As Cthulhu is sobbing, you notice that suddenly the room grows incredibly dim as several of these terrariums full of fireflies, it's as if they just all suddenly blinked out at once. And then they flicker on, and then a whole other section flickers out. Even the lanterns in the hallway are starting to dim, and there is this sudden moment where every firefly in this place goes out. And as the lights go out, you hear whispered in the darkness. Each of you, as if somebody had just leaned in next to you.
Oh, I hate it.
Shemshime. And you all feel the thickness, the air around you. You feel it pressing in from all sides, prickling on your nerves. And you all begin to feel your muscles twitching, as if something is pulling on your limbs with invisible strings. And that's where we're going to end tonight's session.
Oh my god! Wow.
And that concludes this
Wow.
episode of the Mythos Tales. Secrets under
I'm sorry, what?
Candlekeep.
Candlekeep Mysteries.
Yep.
Is what he said, I'm sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, things are definitely weird with whatever's up with Shemshime.
I was saying at the break, for those of you, obviously everybody who was not in the break, I said, coming off of Deep and Creeping Darkness to Shemshime's bedtime rhyme, I was like, oh, this is going to be a little like lighter, a little fun, nope.
Yeah, I said bottle episode. I didn't say lighthearted episode. Never said lighthearted. Never once did I use those words.
No.
It looks like Dreamwisp Jen Kretschmer is streaming, just chatting, talking tabletop, Radiant Citadel, and more. So we're gonna throw a raid over there in just a moment. Be sure to tune in tomorrow night to catch the chilling finale to Dreadful Tales Arc 4, but it's not the true finale. More to come on that. Stay tuned after tomorrow night's episode. And then Thursday night, the Dawnbringers return with more Feywild hijinks, all kinds of great stuff going on. If you're not already following the channel, please consider following it, because we've got new shows and more shows and other stuff all coming in the future. So you want to check that out occasionally. Soon I will start streaming more mini painting and crafting again. In the meantime, thank you everybody who tuned in tonight. We greatly appreciate it. If you're somebody that was lurking in the chat because you don't want to participate in the chat, you just want to watch the show, thank you. We appreciate you just as much, and we hope you enjoy the presentation. And of course, before we head on out of here and raid Dreamwisp Jen, I have to thank these amazing players who I just love the engagement in this game that I get to play with all of you every week. Thank you to Gary, Carrie, M, Dwight, and though he wasn't here, he was with us in spirit, Ricky, without whom this would have just been me talking to myself for a couple of hours. With that, we are going to go ahead, get this raid started. We're going to end this stream the same way we end every stream. And you can say it with me if you want. Shemshime.
Oh my god.
Stop it.
No.